Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Real Next webinar series. Today we'll be talking about mastering the market. As always, I'm Jeff Finn, joined by Matthew Smith, talking about the Real Next platform and how we can help you find, win, and close more deals. And today's topic is really about becoming an expert in your targeted market to really understand how you can take advantage of third-party data and make it your own and put it to the best use possible. So building your own proprietary database by either taking third-party data or starting it with your own foundation, understanding what the scope and size of your market is so that you know as much, you can know everything that there is to know about that market, making sure it's big enough to conduct a business that's going to generate the amount of revenue that you're after, putting in the additional information that makes it really special to you, so you have proprietary information that not everyone in the market has, and then leveraging our mobile app to go out into the market to find out even more details and get pictures, stack buildings, and profile properties on the scene as efficiently as possible. And then with all that information, how do you use it to target opportunities? How do you match buyers and sellers, tenants and spaces, and how do you demonstrate your market authority, whether it's rating BOVs or OMs, or just having the right exact buyer for the property to give you the best price in the shortest period of time. So Matt's going to take us through these aspects. As always, we're recording the session and we'll be sharing it. We'll also be open for questions as we go or at the back end of the presentation, so please post them and we'll do our best to address them as completely as possible given the time that we're working with. So Matt, I'll let you take it away.
Thanks, Jeff. As always, I'm really excited to be on this call here today because I see some of my superstars that I work with personally on this call. And I'm glad to have you superstars and shiny pennies on here. It's also good to see some people that I don't know on this call. So hopefully you're going to learn some new stuff here today, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So I'm going to talk about how do we leverage data. So first off, you don't need data from anybody. You can go out and door knock and ground and pound any way you want. And with our mobile app, you can add inventory. So if you really want to, cut your teeth, it's a good idea. Just get your car, get in your bike, get in your skateboard, roller skates, whatever you got, and roll around your neighborhood. And it's amazing some of the things and people and conversations you'll have. If I didn't have 2 kids, I'd be doing that a lot more. And you can start adding that inventory from our mobile app, and it really starts to allow you to know that market. But if you want to do something a little bit faster, you can leverage third-party data as well as our RX data to just start super fast and kind of know your market. A lot of people talk to me all the time. They're like, hey, Matt, I want to do X commission. I want to do this. I want to scale. I want to grow. I want to do all these things. And I'm not a big fan of that word scale. People use it way too often. But I want to grow my business and grow my team one day. But they really don't know what their market is. And to master your market, you got to know your market, period. If you don't know your market, someone else is going to master the market. There's always someone out there on your toes. And one of the ways that we can help you just start to really leverage the program and to get started quicker is to utilize tools like RX data. I've worked with lots of clients lately with RX data. And RX data, what it does is it'll provide you a footprint of data right inside your Real Next platform with a geographic region that you choose based upon a metropolitan MSA typically. However, if you're a net lease broker, no fear, we got you covered. We charge by records or MSA. Sometimes MSA comes out as a way bigger discount for you, and other times individual records are going to be the way it's going to go. So with RX data, we can go ahead and we can bring that in, and you can purchase data through the RX data platform and the Navigator Pro. You pick property types, number of units, square footage, acreage, MSAs, or counties, or again, we can narrow down that criteria for you. With the RX Pro, we're going to give you some additional benefits, and that is the ability to bring in data from CoStar, Reonomy, Prospect Now, and comparables without mapping any of the fields, right? You can use our template or our mapping system, and it will map everything up for you automatically and bring in your data for you. It'll allow you to have the best set of data. You can also go ahead and use our current maps that are inside of our system to bring in that data. You can match your headers to your spreadsheet, and you can even save those so each time you want to bring that in there, you can now start to profile these properties. But now I have some data in my system, Matt, and now what do? Well, first off, we want to define what our territory is. Is it big enough? Is it not big enough? Are we in too small of a niche? 5 to 10 units in San Diego is not going to make you any money. 5 to 10 units in Los Angeles might. So it really depends on your market, and how do we start seeing our market? So you can see down here at the bottom of my record, I have 32,888 properties. That is way, way too many properties for me in my market. So I'm going to narrow down my market, and maybe my market's going to be industrial or agriculture, or maybe I'm going after specifically gas stations. Maybe I'm going after light industrial. You can narrow it down by the asset type, or if you're in a tertiary market, you might be a generalist, but you're going to be a market specialist. So you're a generalist on the property type, but you're a market specialist. And we can narrow down that criteria, and you can narrow down that criteria using these filters. Filters are an easy way to narrow down the criteria based upon some data points. Now you can also save these filters like I use in my presentation. Now I'm down to 209. So I can say 209 properties is much easier to know each one of those properties than it is 32,888 properties. Now I can start seeing my market a little bit better. But for me, I'm a visualization person. So I like to visualize things on a map. A good buddy of mine posts every once in a while on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. He says, hey, if you're in this area in San Francisco, I'm calling you. If you want to build in this area, I'm calling you. And he uses the maps within inside of RealNex to figure out what his market is, and whether that is a radius, a polygon, or even our zip code search. He narrowed down his criteria to get that fine focus. So then that way we can take our 209 properties and we can narrow it down to 109 properties or 159 properties or whatever that would be to start to really define our market. Now, is there enough transaction velocity for us to make money? So if we have, 1,200 properties in our area and 10% trade, that's 120 properties. And if we have a 5% market share, yeah, we can make good money. So yeah, even with only a 5% market share, but we want to make sure that we can start to define that territory and make sure it's big enough, but not too big. And then set that foundation. And then we want to save that foundation. So if you go to simple filter or advanced filter, mine says team equals, because I'm part of a team. And I said date created equals, and then I have in here the map. You can come over here and hit save, and you're able to then save that filter. So you don't have to create that filter every single time. You just go here and filters and load it. Now, once I've loaded it with my map, I'm not going to be prospecting on the map. I just wanted to use that so I can narrow down my criteria. Now I'm going to go ahead and I might have a couple buckets. Some buckets are going to have owner information that I was able to research through my skip tracer by bringing the information in for Anonymity or CoStar, or just simply looking up the information using web links and good old research and your friend Google. All this information is proprietary to you. So what that means is, as you add the true owners, you add the nuances for the comps, you add the building particulars on there for each one of these properties. This information, A, is proprietary to you. B, the comp information is proprietary to you, but it's also, both of these things are able for you to be used in a future purpose. Meaning that when we talk to a building owner, do they say, yeah, hey, Dave, I'm going to sell with you, no problem? No, you typically have to present to them. And you'll see in here, it says presentations go to. As you're building up that market profile in your territory and you're adding those proprietary details to it, like building class and square footage, or hey, we added a note that this was once price reduced and it has small units with a fence yard, right? Or it's got a big yard. And when I say yard, don't think of grass, like an industrial yard, right? So it's got a fenced in yard, but it's got a big yard. And that's something that's unique to the area. There's not a lot of properties in North Las Vegas with a big yard, especially one that's fenced. So that's a particular that I knew from walking the building. So if you're defining your territory and you're making sure that it's not too big, you're adding your own details, this detailed information is going to be able to be utilized in other portions of our program. The comps are going to be able to be utilized within inside of our comp manager and creating that broker opinion value. It's also going to be able to be put inside of your marketing presentations and your proposals with any of this information. Now, one of the things that I like to do when I get to know my market is I like to use a list view. And I bet you there's a lot of people here that use list views. Now, you can see in here that mine might have a little bit more customization than yours. I put my unit mix down in here. So some of you that are doing multifamily, I go, wow, that's a pretty good idea. I put my unit mix here is because when I prospect, I want to know whether I'm looking at a property with all studios or a property with a mix of 1 bedroom and 2 bathrooms, or 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, or 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, and so forth. Because I have buyers that only want properties with a mix, and I have buyers that want studios, and so forth. So we want to make sure that we keep track of that information in here. So as we're going out and researching that, we can start putting that information in so we can start using that to prospect. Now, you're going to be able to use our mobile app to canvas. Now, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to turn my Wi-Fi on today. My internet's not working so well, but you're going to be able to use our mobile app to canvas the market. And with our mobile app, you're going to be able to do a lot of things. One, if you run into an owner of a building, add it to your system, right? You can easily do that right in the mobile app just by hitting add. Now from there, you can hit auto address if you're at the building, and we'll pull the address of the building in as well. You can walk the building, you can add the tenants, you can take a picture of the directory. I was on the phone last week, I think it was last week, with a tenant team, and they said, yeah, tracking buildings is too hard in our area. Things run around too fast. And I said, well, would it help if you had a mobile app that you can walk the building, take a picture of the directory, and add the tenants from the building? He's like, yeah, that would be insane, but it doesn't exist. It does. With RealNext, it does. You have the power at your fingertips, and it's the simplicities right there as well. So remember that you can go ahead and you can do all this out in the field. You can also text from your mobile device, and you can record a history in the iPhone. You can take pictures. You can go ahead and add things like lease expiration, or do they have plans of expansion, and you can voice dictate those notes while you're out in the field with your iPad or Android in there. To go ahead and create any of these custom fields, go back and watch one of our videos on dynamic layouts. If you are an admin, you can come over to settings and hit page layouts, and it gives you the ability to really just customize all the different sections within inside the program. Now, if you watch our other videos, I'll tell you, always create a new template off of the old one. Don't try to change the default template. You can always change that new one to a default template when you have it in here. You'll also notice I have a section in here called verified. What I like to do is I go down through each one of my properties, and whether that is I'm going through here one by one, and I'm researching the information in here, I'm going to hit verify. And what I do with the verification is I know that information's updated. I know the building information's been updated. I know that the contact information's been updated and the ownership is right. I can add a site contact or a second owner on there if I want. But I know that information's updated, and I hit verify. And then I can use that as another data point, right? You can also go here and do a split screen as you're going through them. You might want to go through your properties and do some research before you call. Now, some people are going to tell me, Matt, I just dial and smile all day long, and I drink Red Bulls, and it works for me. And I'm not here to change how you do. But if you do a little bit up front, the rest is easier. And if you hear me speak for the last 12 years, I say slow down the process to speed it up. If you slow down your prospecting, it'll speed it up. I promise you, it happens. I'm slow, and things happen for me always fast on the back end of things. So you can use that verify now button as your data point. And the idea is you're going through here and you're starting to know your market as you're talking to property owners. Jeff, let me ask you a question. If I call 15 property owners today, would all 15 of them say yes, they want to sell? If
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, if I call 15 property owners to see if I can represent them for their leasing needs, would I win the pitch right on the phone right there first time? Probably not. Now, you also might get one of those phone calls that, some of you might get, like Todd might get, or Tyler. You might end up getting one of these calls, and it's going to say, don't ever call me again. And you're going to say, I won't unless I have a fantastic opportunity. What are you buying? Well, oh, I've never thought about that, Matt. I don't ask people what they're buying if they say no, they don't want to sell. I don't want to work the buy opportunity. No, but you want to build a relationship. And why not work the buy side? It doesn't matter. I know lots of people that work just the buy side and make a ton of money because that's their specialty. With inside of the Real Next program, you can go from the property to the owner of the building or the company. The company profile is a great way to do that as well, and start putting some information in there. What do they typically buy? What is their minimum maximum price? What is their age? Do they have a target cap rate or GRM or IRR? Where do they typically buy properties at? What is their holding period? And one of the nice things with RX data is we're actually enriching that data. So when you go into the company, and I'm moving around here a little faster than I probably want, but when you go into the company here, we're actually starting to give you that footprint already. So we're taking the data from RX and we're enriching that data. And as we're enriching that data, we're starting to build out some of those areas, a minimum price and maximum price. They have 7 properties. Their minimum price is 500,000 and their maximum price is 1.5 million. They last purchased in 2/29 of 2024, so just recently. So maybe they're looking to acquire more properties, or maybe they want to dispose of some of their properties that they fully depreciated. There's a lot of things that we can start to uncover as we put this more information in there. So remember, if someone is not interested in selling their property, don't need representation today, put that information in there on what they're buying, or any downsides of their current representation. I manage all my properties myself, Matt. I'm a superhero. I do it all. Or I have a property management company. Write down the property management company. Do a little homework on the property management company. Look at their reviews. And if they're a 1-star Google rating, schedule yourself a follow-up in 3 months, 6 months, 2 months, 2 days, and go back after that one. And then RealNext is going to be able to really help you that. So think about your market, knowing your market and understanding your market, and can your market uphold the commissions that you want to make, and then add those details that are going to separate you from the competitors that other people don't have, that you'll know about the building, the nuances about the building. The building I'm in here, I'll tell you right now, the building owners love to save water because they probably have bricks in the toilets, so they barely flush, and they don't like to turn the heat or air conditioning on. So I need 19 fans and 17 heaters. But you wouldn't know that unless you walk the building. So there's a lot of things that you can start knowing that to become the market expert. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, Matt, that's particularly true with comps. I mean, there's a number that's a comp number, but there's so much off and around that comp to know whether or not it was an arm's length transaction, or if there's other variables associated, special financing associated with it, or in certain areas, if there are certain rights or zoning or other details that gave it a special or limited value. And if you know that versus just what's coming off of the assessor's record, you've got something that really is helpful when pricing in the market. The other thing, you started talking about some of the value add. Let me just finish, and then I'll turn it back to you. Is that we not just set this type of min-max price range and property type based on what somebody actually has bought and what they own, but by doing that, we're taking that information from comps and feeding it right into that company profile in a way that you're going to know what the full portfolio of that client is. So the full footprint. You might be pitching for one listing and they're not interested, but if you know all their properties, you might say, well, this one is sort of an outlier. Why do you have that multifamily? Your portfolio looks like office industrial. Why do you have multifamily? That's a headache, 6 unit. Why don't we talk about that? So by knowing everything, whole portfolio, you have a different ability to have a conversation, as Matt talked about, by you're doing that little bit of research up front and having quick access to all the information. And on the other side, to know once you get that listing, who are all the 6-unit buyers in the market? You can see everybody's bought 5 to 10 in the past 6 or 12 months, and not go to 100 people, but go to the 12. And so you do make 12 calls and buy 12 good prospects, Matt. You don't have to go out to 100 where you got 90 people that really aren't in the market for what you're presenting today.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that along with our email marketing can really tie in to build a case. But let's go back and talk about what Jeff mentioned, the comps. Like, this is so important with these comps. And I'm just going to piggyback on exactly what he said, the nuances about the deal. If you know some of the nuances about this deal, that this motel in Montezuma was done because of X, Y, and Z and ABC, maybe it was major deferred maintenance, right? So inside of our financial analysis tool, we have the ability in your broker opinion and value in your comparable section to pull these in. So first off, this information can be pulled into your marketing to create those valuation pieces. And I don't necessarily have time to walk you through it today, but you simply can bring those right in through the comp manager. So when you're valuing a property, we're going to speed that up for you, but then you can also assign this as a sub or inferior property or superior. And that's going to go ahead and change your valuation. So well, think about this. Jeff is pitching a deal, and I'm pitching the same deal. And I want the owner to list with me, and so does Jeff. We all do the same thing. Now, I know the market a little bit better than Jeff is because I go out and I ground and pound and cut my teeth, and Jeff has it. And when I do my evaluation, I create a valuation and I say, hey, this comparable in here, and you can see my internet's running a little slow. This comparable here is going to be inferior. Now, Jeff didn't take that in consideration, and he just put all his comps in there as normal. Now, I was able to price out the property, even though it's a little bit higher or a little bit lower, I was able to price it correctly. And I was able to show that and show that to the owner that I know the market. And when he met with Jeff, or she met with Jeff, they said, well, look at this comp. And they understand that I was able to value their property out better. And it happens. I've had a good buddy of mine pitch a deal in Los Angeles, and he got egg on his face because he didn't research the comparable properly and went off one he got from a data source, not title, third-party source. And the owner said to him, hey, get out of my building. He goes, what do you mean? He goes, your comps are wrong. I sold the building, and that's not right. That was my building. So look, it happens, especially if you have a buyer in the local market. So the more you know about the comparables, you might be able to start to put some more information about about the deal or about the buyer, and start building that buying profile for that contact or that company, and then being able to track that information. And you can do so, which is great, because if they have multiple locations, you can use our org chart here that allows you to see what primary contacts, and start associating primary contacts to companies, and then what locations own what properties. And as you start seeing, I was going through a scenario where it was a bunch of industrial properties, and then there was 2 gas stations. I know Jeff mentions the gas stations all the time, but it just happened to be in one of my presentations that it was 2 gas stations. It was blown away. And I was like, well, maybe they have the gas stations to supply gas to the trucks as they go back and forth. Maybe that's their business model. Or maybe they just got those 2 gas stations randomly in a portfolio sale, and they're looking for a broker to call them to dispose of those. We don't know. And as we do that research and make those phone calls, we're going to be able to do that. And whether they call us back tomorrow, call us back next year, or anything else, we're going to have the history underneath the record of the contact, the company, and the property. So when they say, hey, Darren, I'm calling you back. You called on one of my properties a while back. You're going to say, yeah, you're with Plastic Graphics. You own a property on 6361 McLody Drive in Las Vegas. And they're going to be like, holy cow, Darren, you're awesome. And it's because you have the market inventory, you define your inventory, you have the details that matter, and now you can start talking to them about their buying criteria, their selling criteria, or tenants and space and other information that you have in here, and use that data to build that authoritative valuation. And I'd love to show you that valuation in another session, and we'll have those recorded on there because I don't want to go too fast. But again, all this information that you have in here is usable. And pre-COVID, people didn't rely upon the properties as much and the comps as much, and they relied upon a lot of third-party sources. And now they're relying on their own data and realizing the market data they have, they got to update it anyways. They might as well get a base layer from us, update it, and then as they update it, they know it. When I was in school, they didn't tell me don't throw paper in class. I didn't have to write that 100 times because it didn't do anything. I wrote, I won't throw paper in class 100 times on a piece of paper, because when I wrote it, it stuck with me. Same thing. If you put the information in, you'll remember it, and you'll be like, oh, that one property, or hey, this was interesting about that, and you'll know those details, and you can speak highly on those, and you become the market expert. And if you want to see a market expert, go look at Bo Berry out of Florida, Gainesville, Florida. He can tell you everything. He can probably tell you how many bricks the buildings are built out of. He can tell you what the what chlorine level and pH levels in the pools at the multifamily apartments. I mean, that's how wild he is in knowing this, and he has it all
One
in.
of the things that I think to go back to your earlier topic, Matt, one of the things that Bo talked about is, and these aren't the exact numbers, but it's rough. And he's in Gainesville, Florida, so he said I have to be the master of Northern Florida multifamily to get a big enough market. What's a big enough market to earn the type of money that he wants to make, and to make sure that he can build the relationships well enough. You don't want to have too many people, but he has roughly 1,000. Let's think about it like this: 1,250. You have 1,250 people in your database that are decision makers, good property owners. If you can call 50 a day, you get through to 5. In 50 weeks, you're getting through to 1,250 people. But you really want to segment them so that you can talk to your A prospects regularly, your B prospects at least monthly, and your C prospects. You may want to talk to them 6 months or every year, but set up the cadence so that you can build the relationship, manage the relationship, and then again master the market by knowing what they do, what they own, what they're looking for, so that when the opportunities present themselves, you're in front of them, and you can set your cadence up based on the categorization, as well as once you talk to them, then you know when the next follow-up needs to be based on something, so that you are making you're getting a much better conversion rate than normal by not just randomly calling, but you're calling with a purpose because you know something's happening and they've got a
Yeah,
loan
Jeff,
coming
trust
due.
me, I do the same thing here. I call with a purpose. If I call you, there's a purpose behind it. I'm not an opportunistic salesperson, and sometimes that's a great thing for other people to start turning into as a non-opportunistic salesperson, so you can stay focused and do everything every day the same way. And I've done it for the same way for 12 years, and I have an SOP created on how I do things, and I do it every time. And I know every first of the month I come in and I'm a little crazy. But I know that looking at my SOP will be great. So if anybody wants help creating an SOP or any kind of game plan along with this, mastering your market, email me, msmith@realnext.com, msmith@realnext.com. Email me and I'll talk to you about how I started to create my SOP and my game plan to master the market. Because we really want you to master the market. And the more money you make, hopefully, the more money we'll all make, and we're all a team in doing this stuff. How are we doing on questions, Jeff?
I think we're good, Matt. It seems like we're hitting the mark. The questions are answered by the conversation that we've had so far. So I think we're ready to call up. What's an SOP? There you go.
What is
you can throw an acronym out there.
All right. Can anybody tell me what an SOP is? Put it in the question area, and we'll figure out what an SOP is. And
We'll save some time. George is a sorry. It's a standard operating procedure. So it's just something you want to do every single time. So it's just what, like Matt said, he comes in the first of the month. He knows what he's going to do. He knows who he's going to call, why he's going to call them, and then come the next month, the same. And then if it works, great. If it doesn't, then you refine it, then you change it and make it better.
100%. And that's what keeps the guardrails on me. Otherwise, I'd be running around the street freaking out every first of the month. And I will at every first of the month. I will have a little freak out. But that SOP really helps me master the market. So I do exactly what you do, but I do it with brokers, and you're going to do it with properties, spaces, and companies, and it works. And hopefully you all enjoy it. Does anybody else? Jim Tucker, it's good to see you on here. It's been a while. Fantastic seeing you on here. Ray, it's good to see you on here as well. Brian, great to see you. And Carl, man, this is awesome. I love this. If anybody has any additional questions or comments, if you're enjoying these presentations, let us know. Jeff and I always don't get a lot of feedback. Sometimes I hope that you all didn't fall asleep, but hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, let us know you enjoyed it. If you didn't, let us know what we can do to make it more enjoyable for you in the future. And we'll continue to work on our craft to make it better and better for each and every one of you. By the way, if you came to the last webinar and you saw our new features that are coming out, I was not able to post a video from strict instructions from development because some of that stuff is top secret. And we will be releasing another video with those updates coming out. And I'm telling you, they are absolutely game changing. We are turning RealNext into the Tesla of commercial real estate software solutions. it's going to be the easiest, most powerful thing you're ever going to use. And look for those updates coming out later this month. And I'm sure Jeff will blow you up with some emails.
It's coming as soon as we're ready. So we jumped the gun a little bit, but that's one of the privileges and benefits of joining these sessions. You get things first, and you might get things that others aren't going to get for some time. So the others will get the information in due course. We'll get that out as soon as it's ready. And next week, we've got tech-driven tenant rep. So if you're a tenant rep, you want to learn about our tenant rep tour book and financial investment analysis or comparative lease analysis, I'm sorry, ways to analyze, compare, evaluate, and present to your tenants most efficiently. We've got you covered. Please come back and join us. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a great day.